look forward to another year of In the Trenches presented by First Star Logistics, but we wanted to give you some big news. This season, you'll find our interviews and keys to Bengals victory on In the Trenches in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, along with our growing team of Joe Goodberry's Bengals on the Brain and Malik Wright's State of the Jungle. Also, the great folks at First Star Logistics have big plans this season with special giveaways each week the Bengals play. So be sure to visit both channels and our social media pages to stay updated on all giveaways and the latest news on the Bengals. So be sure to subscribe to the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, as after this season, it'll become the channel that will host all our content.
You're in the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Be sure every week the Bengals play to take part in the great, big, gigantic First Star Logistics giveaway for the Steelers game. First Star Logistics is giving away a Bengals-themed PS5. Many great prizes remaining in this season. Dave Lapham was on the call for this game. Bengals fall to 5-6 on the season, 16-10 losers to the dreaded Pittsburgh Steelers. Painful. It's I don't know how much you can say. Pittsburgh Steelers over 400 yards of offense.
Yeah, for the first time in they had gone 58 games, not accumulating 400 yards, longest streak in the Super Bowl era since the 1970 season. Well, that's over. They got 400 yards in the 59th game. So they ended up with 421 yards to the Bengals, 222. They had 68 snaps to the Bengals, 41. That's called a butt kicking in terms of taking control of things at the line of scrimmage. As a result, they had the ball for over 37 minutes to the Bengals, just under 23 minutes. The Steelers have only been possessing the ball for 27 minutes a game coming in, which is 30th in the NFL. They got their running game going for 153 yards on 33 rushes. Bengals had 25 yards on 11 rushes. Steelers ran the ball 22 more times than the Cincinnati Bengals did. As a result of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers dominated on third down. They were over 47% on third down efficiency. The Bengals were 2 for 10, 20% on third down. They gave up 4 quarterback sacks to the Bengals, all on third down. They had a red zone interception on third down. Red zone turnover on third down is killer, and they had one of those in this football game with that interception. So, yeah, overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're still having trouble scoring points. They did a much better job in terms of generating yards, and you got to give Kenny Pickett credit. He made some unbelievable throws. I mean, he had some deep balls to Pickens and others that he put, right in the only spot that he could have put the football to have the result that he had. I mean, he was really good with his downfield accuracy. There's no question about it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers deserve this win. They deserve to win this football game.
Life without Joe Burrow started officially this game. Browning 19 of 26, 227 yards, a touchdown, and as you said, a very, very poorly timed interception that probably cost we probably almost guaranteed cost the Bengals points, possibly even a touchdown, and maybe changed the outcome of this football game. But overall, you have to, for a first career start, not a bad start, just some struggles here and there.
Yeah, I think numbers can sometimes be deceiving. And, if you didn't watch the football game, you just looking at numbers, and Browning's quarterback rating is 96.2 and Pickett's quarterback rating is 97.8. There was a lot, in my mind, there's a big difference in the way the quarterbacks played. I thought in the football game, Kenny Pickett threw for 278, Browning threw for 227. That's not a huge difference. But the thing is, Pickett still didn't throw any touchdowns. I mean, he hasn't thrown many this year. I think he's only got 6. And he didn't throw any interceptions either, though. That's how Kenny Pickett's playing right now. The big deal in this football game, in my mind, was the return of Freiermuth. He was unbelievable. Targeted 11 times, 9 catches, 120 yards. Had a long of 29 yards. His first 2 receptions of the game were down the seam for over 50 yards, 2 chunk plays. First 2 plays that he contributed in the football game. I mean, honestly, if he had been available, maybe Canada wouldn't have been fired. If they had him as a weapon at the tight end position. He has been a Bengal killer. He's played well against everybody, and they haven't had him for a few games. So getting that weapon back was huge for them because, I mean, 11 targets, targeted more than anybody, 9 catches, more than 2 times that anybody else had for 120 yards. That's great production.
Early on, it looked that, especially that first drive by the Steelers, it looked like the Bengals defense was ready for a big day. Some young players stepping up. Zach Carter punches out Warren, and he fumbles the ball, and picked up by DJ Turner, and it reviewed by the officials, and it stood. And you thought, okay, you also had Trey Hendrickson getting a sack in that, a drive 2, I believe it was actually. And you sit there and you go, okay, we got a chance here. But things did not keep going the Bengals' way. And, boy, the Steelers' defense, Watt on the edge, is just a handful no matter who, especially when you make mistakes later in the game like the Bengals did in blocking assignments with Sample, opens up the offense to having some struggles as well.
Yeah, you certainly can't not put anybody. You have to put 4 hands and 4 eyes on TJ Watt, not none. That's what they did on the last sack he had. I mean, that's going to be the easiest sack he's ever had in his career because, you got a tight end staying in the slow block, Drew Sample, to work with Jonah Williams, and both of them blocked the interior defender from TJ Watt, and they let him run scot-free right up the outside on the edge, and he gets an uncontested free runner sack. I mean, that's gift wrapped. He's a hell of a player. You can't just give him plays like that. But he did it all. I mean, he's dropping into coverage, decent coverage, making tackles, defending passes. I mean, he is a complete football player, and a lot of pass rushers don't play the run at all. They and TJ Watt will, in all honesty, play the run as he's pass rushing, but he plays it a little more honestly than a lot of great pass rushers do. I think he's pretty good on the edge in terms of setting a good edge against the running game as well. This guy is just a phenomenal football player. There is no question about it. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have been doing it a long time with Mike Tomlin. They understand every nuance of this defense. They've been great on that side of the football forever. I mean, I'm talking all the way back to the 70s. They've had front defensive linemen that are just, the steel curtain on. It's been an unbelievable run for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've only had 3 head coaches, since the 1969. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. I mean, you talk about consistency and just knowing what you're doing and how you're doing it. Respect and trust of owners, coaches, players. I mean, it's been an unbelievable run for the Pittsburgh Steelers and an amazing run for Mike Tomlin as well.
Dave, let me ask you this. Again, in the second quarter, the third drive by the Bengals, special teams, Travion Williams with a 46-yard, I believe it was, kickoff return, put the Bengals in good field position. And then we saw the pass deflection that Jamar Chase didn't quit on the play. The ball lands in his hands. He gets, I think, a 31-yard reception out of it. And then you see the little things of moving, and you see the tight ends getting involved, end up with a touchdown pass to Drew Sample. And you thought, okay, the offense is starting to click a little bit more. It just took a couple drives to get going. But after that, what is the answer to running the football in the NFL for this Bengals team going forward?
That's the $1 million question right there, Dave, because the Bengals came out the first play of the game. They came out with a 6th offensive lineman. They said, we're gonna go big. They had 2 tight ends in the football game, and then also came out with Cody Ford as a 6th offensive lineman. So they were loaded up the line of scrimmage, and they ran a play action pass off of it, but they used it, and they used Cody Ford as a 6th offensive lineman a couple of other times in the game. But man, I mean, it was they only ended up running the ball 15 times the entire game. And it was a close football game, the whole game. I mean, they ran it 11 times for 25 yards. And it was anybody's football game for a good part of that game. They just don't seem to have any confidence in that part of it. And it's going to be, I mean, if you put that kind of a burden of responsibility, every defense now, the Pittsburgh Steelers said, okay, we get a rookie quarterback in terms of this is his first NFL start, maybe not a rookie, a true rookie in terms of coming right out of college. He's been around on people's practice squads and all that sort of thing, but this is his first NFL start. We are going to make them one-dimensional. We are going to stop the run and make them throw the football, not because Jake Browning wants to and the coaches want to, but because they have to. And success, no question about it, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So every team in the NFL is going to try to do the same thing. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to make it a point to make the Cincinnati Bengals one-dimensional like the Pittsburgh Steelers did. And until they can run the football adequately well, it's going to put undue pressure on Jake Browning. I mean, you can't expect Jake Browning to be Joe Burrow. You have to let Jake Browning be Jake Browning. You have to do things to help Jake Browning and take some of the pressure off of Jake Browning. There's no question.
I know fans. I looked at X/Twitter during the game and even after the game. Fans are already. It's easy to always blame quarterbacks. That's why they get paid the big bucks on most teams, and they're already yelling for McCarron to be put in place instead of Browning. Is that too early? I mean, after one career start, and like we said, a decent showing, not spectacular, but a decent showing. You have to give a quarterback a chance to find rhythm, to find his way, especially a backup. I think I heard on the telecast they talked about it's kind of like if there's a fire, you got to break the glass to get the extinguisher out, and that's kind of what the backup quarterback role is all about. When does this team, or for the fans' sake, when they're sitting there talking about, hey, we need to jump to a different quarterback, that just creates more of an issue, doesn't it?
Well, A.J. McCarron will be the first one to tell you he doesn't know the offense yet. So that's the problem that you're facing. And can he do what Dobbs has done and win games for two different teams in the National Football League? That's just an incredibly unbelievable story. And when you hear how players are being communicated into him by the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, it's truly amazing. So they feel like Jake Browning has earned this opportunity, and he knows the offense cold. He understands every nuance of the offense, and you have to take into account too. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a defensive football team that came into the game 7th in the NFL in points allowed. They didn't just shut the Bengals down. They're allowing 19.5 points a game to everybody that they've played so far this year. I mean, this is a damn good football team on the defensive side of it. So you have to factor in who you're playing against as well. And in playing against a Mike Tomlin, a Hall of Fame coach that is a defensive-oriented guy. And, I mean, he basically it has to go through Mike Tomlin before it goes to the field in terms of what they're going to do defensively. And they've got a very good defensive coordinator who's been with Mike Tomlin for a while, and Terrell Austin. So, I mean, it's I think that did he have one glaring mistake as a turnover? Yeah, no question. I mean, that one was tough. But Pittsburgh, they fumbled in the red zone too. I mean, that was a nullification. The points the Bengals didn't get, you could argue the Pittsburgh Steelers, did the same damn thing. I mean, if the forced fumble, that occurred at the 15-yard line. I mean, they're going in to score. So the Bengals, they don't allow any points at that time, and the Bengals and spit it up with an interception. That's the only 2 turnovers of the game, and I'll be damned if both of them don't occur in the red zone. So they basically nullify each other. I just think that you have to sit back and say, all right, well, the thing is too with Jake, it's like one thing you wanted to do was play on time. And I thought, a few times he held on to the ball too long. And don't take the sack, particularly on when, third down, you're thinking, okay, we're probably going to end up punting the football anyways. If I don't make a play here, let me hold the ball a little bit longer, see if I can make a play. Well, if it's there's no way you're shoveling, sand against the tide in terms of trying to make a play. Throw it away. Don't add to the hidden yards. Don't take a sack and add another, 8 or 10 yards to the hidden yards thing that you have to overcome as a punt team, and then, not allowing a punt return. I mean, so I think, Joe knows when to put his foot on the gas and to put his foot on the brake in those situations, and every one of them is different. And I don't think you'd necessarily, crucify Jake Browning for maybe having some issues in that regard against the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive football team in his first NFL start. I think that would be, pretty unfair, really.
You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics. Again, a reminder, take part in the great giveaway all season long when the Bengals play by First Star Logistics. Some great prizes have already gone out. Dave and I get to see him when we're in the studio each week down at the First Star Logistics. And I'm telling you, stay tuned because there's going to be some more great prizes going out the doors in the coming weeks. Dave, we've had Frank Pollock on In the Trenches several times over the last few years. A year ago, the Bengals made a change in the way they are blocked as far as for the run game. Is that something that maybe needs to be looked at again this season?
Well, I mean, I think the wrinkle this game was, like I said, going 3 tight ends to start the football game. One of them was the 6th offensive lineman. I mean, you went big. That's about as big a formation as big can be. So, I mean, they're trying to come up with some solutions, and I thought that was going to be maybe once I saw that, I'm like, boy, because I said in the pregame, I said, man, if you can go, 2 tights and maybe even 3 tights, and every once in a while make it another offensive lineman and hammer those edge guys, hammer T.J. Watt and hammer Highsmith in the running game and kind of beat them up and wear them down a little bit, I think that would have an impact. And I think they were thinking along those lines, and then it didn't materialize for whatever reason. So, I mean, I think they're going to continue to try to come up with things and not just stay status quo with something that isn't working. That phase of their offense is not. I mean, they're at the bottom of the barrel in terms of the running game on a league-wide basis. And the sad thing is, Joe Mixon coming into this game, in 10 career games, he averaged 15 carries for 75 yards a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, averaging 5 yards a carry and rushed for 3 touchdowns. And I thought, maybe Joe will have he has his career best 160 plus yards rushing against Pittsburgh. I thought, maybe it's time for Joe Mixon. Well, it certainly wasn't. Like I said, he ended up with 16 yards on the game. He needed 17 to hit 6,000 yards. That was going to be a big milestone we were going to talk about. 8 carries, 16 yards, a long run of 4 yards. The longest run of the day was a Jake Browning scramble of 6 yards. I mean, that's not a running game. I don't know what I'd call it, but maybe it's not even a walking game. I don't know what it is.
Dave, a position that I feel gets overlooked, the fullback position. We don't see as much in the NFL anymore. You don't see as much in football anymore. But sometimes you'd like to see more of a power set, the old style, fullback, tailback, and just, like you said, 2 tight end, run the football. Any chance down the road that Zach Taylor, Brian Callahan look to reintroduce a fullback into this system?
Well, they've done it with Drew Sample. He's lined up at the fullback position. Other tight ends have as well. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens use Patrick Ricard as a fullback, as an extra tight end, and they use guys like that all over the place. I mean, there's a position versatility thing. I mean, a lot of teams will use tight ends in that type of a situation, but it's sparingly. There's no question. I mean, the league has evolved from that. But you know what? Sometimes you go contrarian. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe we could be a trendsetter and have it come back into play a little bit more. I don't know. I will say that the 1-2 punch that the Pittsburgh Steelers have at the running back position is working. Najee Harris feels Warren's success. I mean, Warren had more rushing yards than anybody in the National Football League the last 3 games, 318 rushing yards. He had an 88-yard game, 101-yard game, 129-yard game, 3 straight weeks, back-to-back career highs. So, man, Najee Harris is like, I better get going. Well, Warren's averaging 6.2 a carry for the year, leading the NFL. Against the Bengals, Najee Harris goes for 99 yards on 15 carries, 6.6 per. Warren doesn't have the kind of game, 13 carries for 49, 3.8 per. But Najee, man, more than once. I think I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers using a rugby scrum once again. I mean, they were pushing piles like, 4, 5, 7 yards. It was amazing. These running backs were finishing runs, and the offensive linemen were staying on their feet and finishing blocks. It was pretty impressive the way they ran the football.
Again, the Cincinnati Bengals fall 16-10 to the rival Pittsburgh Steelers, moving to 5-6 on the season. Still looking for an AFC North victory. Jacksonville
1-6 in the division, in the conference.
In AFC,
0-4 in the division, 1-6 in the conference. Ooh.
Painful, man. That's just the theme of the whole day. Painful. The Bengals will head to Jacksonville for a Monday night game on Monday, December 4th, 8:15 kickoff. Jacksonville 24-21 win over the Texans. I think that's 2 games in a row. I think they beat the Titans the previous game. Not an easy task going down to Jacksonville to take on Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence and Etienne, man, that running back is an all-purpose, do-it-all guy, and their defense is playing really good football as well. You're right. That's a good football team, and they've won 2 division games in a row, and they've got playoff aspirations. They have division championship aspirations. They got all kinds of aspirations. So, they think they're a candidate to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl. It's not going to be an easy task. There's no question about that. And Trevor Lawrence is if he is on his game, he's as good as you're going to find. I mean, he is a specimen. He does have a tendency to be a little bit inconsistent. And is he due to have a bad game? And will the Bengals make that be the case? Only time will tell. But man, if he's on, and ATN is supporting him with what he does running the football and catching the ball out of the backfield for him, and they'll move him all around the formation and throw him the football as well. I mean, he is the ultimate Swiss Army knife. That's a damn good football team and a very sound and solid defensive football team as well. The Bengals definitely have their work cut out for them.
Late in the game, Logan Wilson it looked like his ankle got kind of bent over on a play. Any early word on Logan Wilson?
Yeah, I saw him after the game in the locker room here, and I said, "Man, you got that thing rolled up on, huh? Kind of caught underneath your body." And he said, "Yeah." He said, "It's early to tell, too early to tell what he's looking at yet. I'm sure he's going to get treatment on it, and he'll probably, ice and compression and all that sort of thing." The big thing is when he wakes up tomorrow morning, how much swelling is there, how much stiffness is there. Usually in injuries like that, I've had that kind of scenario where it's like, what's it going to be like the morning after? And that's usually when it's at its worst. So I'm sure he'll be able to have a much better indication of how severe the thing is when he wakes up tomorrow morning.
Bengals did play this game without a couple guys. Any future thoughts on as far as Cam Taylor-Britt, the T. Higgins being out, getting guys back?
Yeah, you'd hope with a long week. You got Monday Night Football, extra days, long week that, at least one, maybe both of them make the dance. Cam Taylor-Britt still got, he had a lot of swelling, a lot of blood in that thigh, in a thigh contusion, like a real bad Charlie horse. I mean, a lot of blood in there that either has to reabsorb or it has to be taken out by needle, which I've experienced. It would not absorb. And the doctor said if you keep it in there too long, it'll calcify on the bone. So I'm like, all right, and take it out. And they stick that big old needle in there and suck that blood out of there. And it's not a pleasant experience. Believe me, I've had like 60 cc's taken out of my thigh one time. And hopefully he doesn't have to go through that. But see who knows what he's looking at this week. And then T. Higgins, the hamstring injury. Jefferson, his teammate, the Minnesota Vikings, he's missed 6 weeks now with a hamstring. And we know how they are. I mean, they can go, anywhere from 2 weeks to month and a half, 2 months, depending on the location. If it's up by your closer to your buttocks as opposed to your knee, it's worse. Closer to your knee, the better off you are, even if it's a severe pull. And if in the belly, if it's a mild pull, you're better off. So it depends on the location and the severity of the pull. And don't know what's going on with T. Higgins, but it'd be nice to have him back, that's for sure.
You can watch In the Trenches with Dave Lapham on In the Trenches with Dave Lapham's YouTube channel, also on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, and you can listen wherever you get your podcast from. Dave, I'll let you have your final thoughts on this game and what we should expect in the following week as far as this team getting ready for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a bitterly disappointing game for this football team. They wanted to get this first division victory under their belt and put themselves in better position in the conference as well, getting that second conference win, but it didn't happen. You can't fold your tent, though. I mean, here come the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's life in the National Football League. You have to get over it quickly, lick your wounds, and get ready. They're going to have an extra day off. They'll have Tuesday and Wednesday off this week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday work week for them. So anybody that is got some sort of an injury, like guys we've been talking about, it does give them extra time for treatment and all that sort of thing. So hopefully they'll be in good shape physically. And then the other part of it is the mental aspect. You didn't expect to be 5-6, 0-4 in the division, 1-6 in the conference. That was the furthest thing from expectations. What you have to do, though, is compartmentalize and move on and try to turn it around the following week. You have no choice. And honestly, this football team is good enough to once you're in a situation where the hourglass is the sand is passing through the hourglass. We don't have many more opportunities. Now you become a spoiler. I'm telling you, down the stretch, the teams that they're playing down the stretch, they're going to have to beat the Bengals to get in the playoffs. That might be a little bit of a task. I mean, that's what you have to hang your hat on. You have to go out and compete your butt off every single play. You're a professional. You're being paid to do it. You get personal pride. Go out and lay it on the line and try to win your battle every single week and let the chips fall as they may. That's the bottom line. That's what you have to do. You really no alternative, no choice.
Dave, as always, we appreciate your time after a busy day. We also want to thank First Star Logistics for all the things they do for us in bringing you In the Trenches with Dave Lapham. And again, a final reminder, take part in the great giveaways by First Star Logistics. Each week, the Cincinnati Bengals play this season. The PS5 is for the Steelers game, and I'm interested to see what the next few weeks are going to bring in prizes because they have been great so far all season long. For Dave Lapham, this was Dave Burke, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we hope to see you in the trenches with Dave Lapham.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.